Hello and welcome to MS is Chronic. This is episode 2 of season 1 and I'm your host Barney Black. Our next guest is the wonderful Damian Washington. I found Damian on YouTube when I was first diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in 2017, and since then we've kept in touch, first over the internet through social channels, and more recently we've begun to have actual conversations with each other, which has been fabulous. I've thoroughly enjoyed his company. Damian has agreed graciously to give his time for this particular episode, in which he shares his personality, his humour, his fun, his vibrancy, his, what's the word that Damian uses? His authenticity of who he is and how he manages his life in multiple sclerosis. He's in Spain now, originally from New York, living in Spain with his lovely wife and their dog, Cooper. And he has great insight and a great way of living his life. So sit back, grab a cup of tea and enjoy. Thank you, honestly, for taking the time out of your day. You've had a busy life in the last few weeks and months as well, moving from one side of the world to another. So we'll touch on that.
Absolutely.
What I'd like to do is, in my own way, is kind of just share how we know each other.
Yeah.
I think I found you on YouTube round about 2017. So that's 7 years ago.
Sounds about right.
And that was when I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. I was looking for stories, insight, experience, all that good stuff. Because there's quite a lag between seeing a doctor or a neurologist between you get to ask questions or stuff, you know. And you were one of the first ones that I saw out there doing your stuff on YouTube. And because you're such an engaging guy, and you were also quite prolific. You were regular with your content. So it made it something to look forward to from my point of view. And I know others felt the same and feel the same and everything else. And you kindly gave me a shout out on one of your subsequent videos as well about the MS community and people out there. And then that meant a lot, because it meant somebody was watching what I was doing as well, you know?
Yeah, people are watching what you're doing, even if they don't say anything about it. Like, whenever you show up in the space, you show up as if everyone is watching, but know in your heart it's unimportant if one person is watching. It's unimportant if only one person is watching. I show up and I get on the stage like the arena is packed.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, ready for whatever.
For whatever.
So after we hooked up and you agreed to take part in this, which again I'm really grateful for. I thought,
man, $100,000. Yeah.
It's in the post. I did a little bit. I had to go back and do a little bit of reviewing of the content. I needed to find out when we first connected. So that was about 2017, 2018. And then I looked at some of your earlier content as well. And I've been on your website and looked at all your adverts. I've seen all your commercials. So that's pretty cool. I've listened. I even listened to a few of the podcasts where you've been a guest. Montel Williams one. The MS is, I've forgotten the name of it. Anyway, you were a great guest. And
cool, thank you.
One of the questions which came to my mind that I wanted to ask you was from one of your early videos.
Sure.
Do you still make kombucha?
Oh man, no, I had to give that up. No, not that I had to give that up. I do things in big ways. So if I'm making kombucha, I'm making a lot of kombucha. And it certainly about a year or so into it, I stopped doing it. And now since I've moved and had to get rid of everything and only take what is absolutely necessary, that kombucha kit is it's long gone. Although you just even mentioning it right now makes me kind of want to bring it back into my life because it keeps you regular. It keeps those the bowels flushing. And
Yeah.
you need that.
Well, I'm like clockwork. My wife and I started to make kombucha from a friend, and so I've been making blueberry flavored and raspberries, which have actually been the best. I tried the rhubarb and ginger. That didn't quite work out, but the blueberry was pretty cool. Anyway, that tickled me that was something that you were doing. What you mentioned there about what you're taking in, that was a question I did have for you in no particular order. I've got a few things I'd like to touch base with you. What is it you do to look after yourself?
Everything / nothing.
Yeah.
I'm such a focused individual that I can get everything down to like the last period of comma of precision. But it's difficult to live life in a modern society and stay adherent to those guidelines down to the last letter. So at one point in my life and time, I was like, along my MS journey, I was like, if it's not on my list, if it's not in my protocol, I'm not doing it. I've learned to give myself grace, and giving yourself grace is I would say one of my biggest hallmarks of like it's what makes me win, even when I lose, and even when I take a loss, even when I do stupid things, even when I do things that I know are going to be harmful. I give myself the grace to say, it's not gonna, it might not be so good for me. Yeah, I did not stick to my stuff. Yeah, whatever, but it's okay. Maybe I can try again tomorrow, and even if I don't, it's cool. I know eventually I'm disciplined enough, I'm focused enough to want the thing that's on the other side of the discipline, because that's really it. Like you're focused on a result, and whether or not the result comes because of your discipline, you gain something else because you're trying to do you're running that discipline, and that is what brings you to another mindset, another body. It's just another way of being. So whether or not you accomplish the result is kind of unimportant, and whether or not you stick to it super long term is also unimportant, because if you stick to it enough, you're gonna want to stick with it. Like you're going to feel strange if you're going to feel strangely if you don't stick with it. So it's just important to honor that, and I'm a guy that does that. That's part of, if that's the one thing that makes me strong, that would be it. The grace that I give myself, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So you don't beat yourself up if it doesn't quite work out.
Nope, not at all. I just know that, and it's information, and I'm like, all right, well, I said I was going to do this, and I have not done it 33 times in a row. Okay, is this going to be time 34? We'll see. And if it is time 34, oh, okay. Well, I've done this 34 times in a row. Or it's like, oh, I did that, and I did that well. Good. And I know I've had an idea that something good would come with this, and this is what it was. I like that result. Let's get that result some more, and go and go and go. You know.
From your media content and the stuff that you've done and the way you describe yourself on your website, you're obviously quite when you get into something, you're focused, you kind of drill into it, and you're consistent, and you don't deviate that much. And I saw that in your videos when you first started creating content way back. And then you went from, I heard the story that you moved from the content you were doing, which was, would it be right to say it was more about your acting kind of career and just engaging with different people? And then you began to just see, you started off with an MS video, just a short one about living with MS, or it might have been you were going for a transfusion. I can't remember. It was one of your early ones. And then you had a moment of, okay, people seem to be hooking into this stuff.
Yeah. Well, put it like this. Because I have an entertainment career, and I've done a little over 3 dozen national commercials and voiceovers with folks like Elizabeth Banks and Kevin Bacon and Shaquille O'Neal for big brands. That was my focus, and trying to be on television longer than 30 seconds. That was my goal. That was my goal, to be on a sitcom, to be some main protagonist, funny black friend on a multi-camera sitcom. That's where I saw myself going. But MS started taking some things off the rails, and one of my friends who's in the business, who's an actor, who's been doing it for a long time, and is on TV and all of these things, like, we're buddies. So we were hanging out just one day, and he's like, "Yo, I've been doing the YouTube thing, and it's been good for me, and this is something that you should do, dude." And me, I'm like, whatever. I took his advice to heart, though, because that's my friend. So it's like, yo, that's my man. We're hanging out. He thinks I should do this, but I don't. This is uncomfortable. And something that drives me, it's a saying that like it echoes in my brain. The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek.
Yeah.
So I was avoiding the YouTube thing. And I got a spinal tap to confirm the MS diagnosis. And the spinal tap did not heal. So for 14 days, the only thing that I could do was sleep, or be in excruciating pain all day, all night. So it maddening. I've never before, and I haven't since, felt the incredible amount of pain from that spinal tap that did not heal. While I was doing that, and while I was in that, I was like, what? I'm not going to be in this bed forever. So what am I going to do differently when I get out of this bed? And I've always been avoiding the YouTube thing. And it's like, who's gonna watch me? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? Whatever. Why would you want to look at me if I don't have a script? Whatever. But the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. I just was lying down like, all right, so when I get out of this bed, I'm going to start making YouTube content. Doesn't matter what it's going to look like. And for the first 30, 40 videos of every week, that's a half a year, man, that you're showing up and nobody's watching. And I'm doing my best and like making cool music videos and taking trips around the world and like all of this stuff, and thinking that this is what people want to see. Nobody watched. And I went to the infusion center. Thousands of people watched. And then I made other I thought cool content. Nobody watched. I made a follow-up to the infusion center video. Thousands of people watched. And again, the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. Because I was like, I don't want to be the MS guy. I don't. Why do I want to make videos about MS? But looking at my analytics, it's like, yo, these are the only videos on this channel that people really enjoy. And the comments and like all this stuff. This is what people want. So do it. And I was like, okay, fine. I'll go in that cave. And then because I'm systematic and this is what I do. I just started pumping out multiple sclerosis videos.
Yeah.
And as I was doing that, this community grew around me, and there's more than 6,000, almost 7,000 people on the channel now. And I know you, there's so many things have grown from it that I could not possibly imagine.
I'd like to talk about your MS journey as well, which got you to the point of having content to talk about, you know?
Absolutely. I can talk about this for days, for months, for weeks, for years. Easy.
Well, let's do that then. You had your lumbar puncture, the spinal tap.
Yeah.
Man, it was the worst experience of my life. I've heard people have so anybody that's getting a spinal tap or scheduled for a lumbar puncture, there are stories where it's hassle-free. Mine was murder.
Many people Many people are hassle-free. In fact, the vast majority of people are hassle-free.
Yeah.
But myself and Barney Black included.
It was the worst pain
Oh
I've ever
man.
experienced. I've never before or since. Anyhow.
But I'm just even going to put a pin in that. Like, I've never heard you say that before. And you asked me about my experience, and I said the most excruciating pain that I have ever felt, and I've ever felt before, and I have never felt anything like that since. You said the same thing. So there's something in that, man.
Yeah, no, it wasn't good. I didn't expect it to be as bad. But thankfully, I didn't have the longevity of 2 weeks that you had. The next day I was okay, but the day itself was anyhow. That, I guess, for you would have been kind of getting to the point of concluding, yeah, MS is the badge we're going to give you. What symptoms? What was the journey from you thinking, you know what, I need to go and check this out. I need to go and see what's going on. How did it start?
It wasn't me. It was my wife. She and I have been together at this point 24 years, almost 24 years. At that point, 18 some odd years. And like when this actually went down, like, yeah, we've been together that long. So anyway, because we've known each other for so long and we've seen each other in different versions of ourselves, she just kind of is looking at me like, just not like differently, but just like, we would go take walks. When we would take walks, she's like, yo, something's wrong with you, man. You don't hold me the same way that you always held me. You don't hold me the same way you hold me. And the walks were getting progressively shorter. And just I was tired. And I just felt winded. I fatigued. And something I later would learn that was going to be a part of my life. But we would take walks and they would get progressively shorter. And one day I couldn't really make it halfway down the block at all. And it's like, nah, babe, I need to get back. I got to go back home. And we went back home and I went to take off my shoes and I fell. So like you go to take off your shoes and now I'm looking at the ceiling.
Wow.
And so even right before that, not even right before that, I had already gone to 3 or 4 doctors because I knew something was wrong with me because my vision was weird. I was always getting tired. Pieces of my body were hurting. My walk was weird. It just was weird. None of the doctors knew what was going on. They're like, you're fine, but you're not fine. And like that was 4 doctors. And when I was lying on the floor looking at the ceiling, my wife was like, that's it. We are going to emergency care and we are not leaving until we know what's wrong with you. The emergency care doctor was like, I don't know what's wrong with you. Go get an MRI. Go get an MRI. The MRI was like, this guy is perfectly healthy. He's a healthy specimen. Oh, he totally has multiple sclerosis. He should get an MRI. He should get a neurologist and get that checked out and work that out. That was it.
So, and what kind of time frame is that?
This is somewhere between call it 3 to 6 months of juggling and figuring out not that because you have to get the doctor's appointments and you have to wait 2-3 weeks and like all of this, like not quite a year, maybe around 6 months or so, going from doctor to doctor to doctor to doctor. Yeah.
Did you, in hindsight, because we all do that, we all kind of think, I wonder if, you're walking, you're holding your wife in a different way. But before that, now when you think back, was there anything else happening to you physically or even cognitively? That's a big word.
Again, yeah, right. Hey, I think she can put it together a lot better than I can. And because we've been together so long. But I think something that she reflects back to me on this question, I used to get crippling headaches, like just crushing. It just would shut me down. There were like even sometimes in college there was some weird like, whoa, Damian is not available. Damian's unavailable today. we don't know what's going on, but like he didn't drink last night, and he is still out of the game. So sporadically, there were some things, even as a younger person, where if either I push myself, and then because I'm accustomed to pushing myself, and I know my limits and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, even if I push, beyond my limits, so to speak, the amount of deflation and the amount of crushedness, it would be unexplainable sometimes. It's like,
Yeah.
wait, why am I so gassed right now? I know I pushed it. I know it's cool, but I this is what I do. I know how to do it. I know how, and I did only a little bit, and I am rushed. So it's some small things like that. My vision was shaking. I couldn't check my blind spot when I was driving. And so like that made driving pretty dangerous.
Yeah.
You can't check your blind spot. Optic neuritis would mess that up. So like if I was just looking straight on, I'm fine. But the moment I need to use my eye muscles to turn that way, gone. It's like a 6.0 earthquake is going on. And the fatigue, the optic neuritis, and none of the doctors really being able to pinpoint. Like my gait was off. It was off. And then when I went to get my eyes checked, because I wear glasses since a kid, the ophthalmologist was like, "Well, your eyes are fine," but I was talking about like I can't really see certain things, and certain things are weird and blurry, and like she checked it out. She's like, "Those are some perfect eyes, my man. So whatever you're going through, I believe you. It ain't your eyes, buddy. I can't see. So how is it not my eyes?"
Wow. Yeah, I don't think I've had. My eyesight. I wear glasses for reading, and even the distance between the laptop. But that was a pretty quick change from not needing them to needing them. And I don't know, but the last eye test I had in January, there's a scar on my left eye, which may or may not be nothing or something, But I never had the challenges that you had. And I'm 54, so deterioration is coming. So there's a lot of things I just have to, I put down to, it's just the journey of life that I'm on, I'm in the second phase, I guess. Sorry, I digress. I go off on tangents. Your 6-month period from first check to getting your MRI and the lumbar puncture to a diagnosis, how quickly did you go into a disease modifier?
Oh yeah, no.
And what was it?
Once I finally got an actual like neuro, we went on.
Sorry, Damian? What year was that? 2017, 16.
Yeah, 2017. I think that would be the most fair thing to even say.
Yeah.
I'm just looking for something real quick. Yeah, no. 1 second, because this is important and I need to write this down. And it's very much related to what the heck we do here. Why is this not happening? Why is this not? Wow, here we go. So now I just want to count this, Barnum, because it's important to know. 1, 2, 3, 11, 12, 13, 14, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. There's at least 21 things that can be wrong with you if you have MS.
Yeah.
And that's from numbness to tingling to vision problems to fatigue to muscle spasms to walking difficulty to itching to tremor to seizures, etc. So welcome. So there's 21, bro. Like that's a list, man. And sometimes you get them all. You get like 4 of them all at once.
You know what it's like? Just visually, it's like a bowl of Skittles, all the different colors of Skittles, and you put your hand in, and then you put your hand in, and we'll have a handful of stuff, but it'll be a completely different set of stuff.
Absolutely. Wow, that is a powerful metaphor. It's you all have your hands full of stuff, but bro, you got some different stuff in those hands. And that's really how it all comes. Some symptoms come, some symptoms go. I don't have a set of symptoms, but I certainly have a chunk of symptoms, and some have gotten less potent over the years. Some have gotten more potent that I've had to work to get right back down to a manageable size. It's a lot, man. I wanted to count to be specific because it's another part of giving yourself grace. Because in on this journey, if things are going not so well for you,
Mm.
medically, clinically, there are almost 2 dozen things that can be terribly wrong with you. And that means that your central nervous system is not doing that well. And if your central nervous system is not doing that well, then like
Yeah.
that's the wiring of the house, man. You might have, lovely floors and lovely windows and tall ceilings, but the electricals are all shot in here.
Yeah.
So who wants to live in that junky house? Well, we have to live in this junky house.
You've just made me think. Just now, where we live in Perth, I don't know how well you know Scotland, but it's kind of central east, not quite north. Anyway,
Sure.
where we are in Perth, there's roadworks everywhere, and
Okay.
MS just a little bit. The way you're describing that is just like you think this is cool. Oh no, I can't do that. Got to go back.
No,
Can't do this. That's just not happening
at all. And that's where the grace comes in. And that's where you're like, you're trying, but like you can, if there's a limit, you can go to the limit, but you can't really go beyond the limit, and that's fine. And give yourself the grace and give yourself the rest, give yourself what you need to get back to normal. And then don't get right back on the horse. No, just stay at normal for a little bit, maybe for the rest of the night, maybe for the whole day, maybe for the whole rest of the week. Then you can get back on the horse. And that it's important to be able to give yourself a limit to stretch beyond it, but it's also doubly important to give yourself the grace that if you don't meet the goal or you can't really get as far beyond the limit as you would have hoped previously, it's okay. It's cool. It's maybe you can do that at some other point in time, but not at this time. So respect that. And you have gone, personally, I've gone through not at this time for some things, and now they're gone. And so it's like, and then you will have something new to deal with. Not at this time until it's gone, etc., and so on.
What was the first therapy with disease modifier? I don't know what you call them, disease modifying therapy.
Yep.
What was your first one, and how did you come to choose? Or were you given a choice?
I was given a choice, thank goodness. First it was Copaxone, then it was Rebif, and then I went back to Copaxone until Ocrevus. So I've really only done 4 of these DMTs. Copaxone I chose because it was the most mild at the time. Like I wanted to not have a lot of side effects, even though I had no idea what side effects were at the time. But I just like, no, just give me it's effective, right? So just give me the lowest grade, the lowest efficacious dose. I don't know what the heck they call it. Whatever. Just give me the lower jam. And then I was getting the lower jam, and I was like, well, I kind of want the strong stuff. I don't know if this is what the weak stuff is. How about I just take the strong stuff? And the strong stuff was Rebif. And I took the strong stuff, and the following day from my injection, the day of the injection, fine. The night of the injection, fine. The next day, I would wake up with the most horrible hangover that I had ever felt in my entire life. And like, I didn't even drink the night before. So it's like, you didn't have the fun time, but you now have the horrible time? No, get off of this. And so I went back to the Copaxone, and eventually Ocrevus was coming out, and my neuro was like, well, we got to get you on some strong stuff because you're younger. You're on the younger side of things. You're Black. So how about we get you the most potent thing that you could tolerate because you want to get the most potent thing as early as you can, and try to make sure that, because as you live life, maybe you can switch and try something less effective as you get older. But right now, young black man, get the strongest stuff you can tolerate and figure out your life with MS. And then that was Ocrevus. And because I was already in the habit of making videos every week, just regardless of success, I took my camera to the infusion center. Like, hey, we're going to the infusion center today. This is new for me. Well, you know, we're gonna see what it's gonna be about. That then sort of became clear. It became really clear that I should be talking about MS, and I don't know what I'm going to talk about or what it's going to be, but I apply all of the things that make me me, that make me the guy who's done 3 dozen commercials with famous people. Apply that to this and see what you can do. And in that, it's all of, you know, almost 7,000 people on the YouTube. I know you. There's countless people across the globe that we have a special bond, and that, you know, I show up for them as in ways that I only show up for clients. Like, you know, like either myself or somebody who's paying me a lot of money to be there. If you're not myself or my wife or giving me bucks, I can really care whether or not I'd be there for you like that. Except for MS patients, I am there.
And you have been for years now. That's 6-7 years now. You've been in that space, which I think, talking about the videos you did when you were getting your infusion. I think the attraction and the appeal, certainly for me, was we were in your personal space. You know, you were taking us with you, man. You know, and I don't think that, because everything I've done has been fairly sanitized. You know, nothing really going on apart from what you see, almost what you can see just now, right? But you took us with you to your hospital, to your infusion sessions. There was a couple of videos that you did when you were actually just sharing the emotional side of things, and possibly it's the actor in you, the way that you can express yourself, but you showed real emotion.
Oh and the funny, because well, not funny, but just noteworthy. A lot of times people ask, you know, is it real, even if I'm just acting, you know, whatever, bro. My school of acting, the Stanislavski method, you are yourself. You are yourself in the author's given circumstances, right? So as much as I'm acting, I'm really only acting that I'm in the situation. But you get good at becoming yourself regardless of what's on the page. You learn the context of the world that we're all in right now, and you study that, but you learn the text and you work the drills and you rehearse it, so that when you're on the stage, you can just be yourself, because you've rehearsed it a bajillion times. So you just show up and be yourself, and then that's what people want to watch and see. And that's really what comes through in my content. I'm me, and I'm really trained at being me, and unapologetically and fully myself. Anytime, whenever I'm engaging with people. And I think that's pretty much why it's been engaging, because I'm talking to you like you're in front of me.
Yes. I think, you speak as if people are in the room with you. And you mentioned about being authentic, and I've got no hesitation that you 100% a genuine thing. And if anybody had to ask, is it for the camera? They ain't watching.
I'm unconcerned with that. I'm so unconcerned with watching I'm unconcerned with truth, authenticity. And they say that that's one of the biggest things. It's one of the strongest emotions like on the planet. It's stronger than love. Authenticity is the strongest wavelength to be on.
No, that's what that. Yeah, that's I love that. I love that. I've got a question, which I'm not sure if I'll phrase it properly to ask what I'm thinking. So bear with me, right?
The best part is that you can ask it improperly. You
Yeah.
can figure it out, my dude. You
So
can figure it out. Let's go.
I think it's fair to say you're an MS advocate, ambassador, role model, add whatever on, right? I don't know how you would describe yourself, yeah?
Sure.
And
Sure.
you're there for a lot of people at the touch of a button. Your content, your journey, your story, your examples, your advice, but in quotations, you're not saying do this stuff. You're just saying here's my lived experience, right? What's your support? I know you've got access to the same kind of content and things, but how do you? So like I said, I don't know how to explain this question. For me, I've shared before. I take Tecfidera or dimethylfumarate, which because Tecfidera lost the copyright now, so it can be made by other companies.
Oh, okay.
So the NHS, and I'll ask you about the American health system in a minute, maybe in a few minutes. Anyway, where was I going with that? That's what I was going to go. Tecfidera for me, AM, I get a reminder. You've got MS. PM, you've got it. I've got that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So how do you deal with it day to day?
Well, I'm lucky enough to have that partner for this long. So my wife, Angela, she and I, we've got a bond, and with that is special. And so I engage myself off of her and know that she gives me whatever she can give me. She gives me support in ways that I can't imagine. She asks me things that I might need that I would not have thought of for myself. There's certainly that. That's a large component, and that's also another large component of why I meditate so much, Black, because it chills out my symptoms, and I can see better, I can walk better, I feel better, I feel like an actual person instead of like this gangly ball of hurt, right? And I know when my vision's starting to shake and my gait is weird and my knees hurt and I feel like just down and tired, I think like, when was the last time I meditated? Like this sorts of thing. Like I'm far enough down the road to know that if I'm feeling crappy, time to shut everything down. I need to close my eyes for even if I don't get the full half hour or the full hour. I need to shut down my vision, turn off the sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight, turn on the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest, and let the body figure it out. I don't know what's going on. I could try to do this and try to give it that. No, the body knows what's going on. So if you give yourself the chance to just let the body do its thing, it's going to regulate itself back to some sort of good feeling. So my wife is a big thing. My meditation practice is another large thing. And then over the years, like I just figured out like, if I take this type of magnesium, 4 times a day, I'll have a different set of energy. I know that, if I take this supplement, I will have another set of wind in my sails throughout the day. So it's just trial and error, man. So the support, the meditation habit, and then trial and error. I have failed at an incalculable amount of things. And if you're listening on the podcast, you can't see me. I am staring directly into the camera right here, right now, and into the heart and soul of my man, and anyone else who's out here receiving these vibes. And I think that's why I'm so confident, because I have failed so often, so strongly, so that when my successes come, I meet them with the same honor and joy as I meet my failures, because they both, if you don't get what you want, you get a lesson. So I didn't get what I wanted. I didn't get that relief, but I got an idea of how to deal with it, or maybe to go around it, or man, I maybe should have had the limit be an hour ago. Maybe I should have had the limit be I shouldn't have even done that this morning. Like whatever. You get what you want, or you get a lesson. That's really how I'm built, man. And I'm built to give myself grace around those sorts of matters.
You reminded me of two things. I read something just recently, very similar. That if you're the type of person that says "Why me" when bad stuff happens, you need to always say "Why me" when the good stuff happens, because it's kind of which is that just reminded me of that. And then it also reminded me to ask you a question about, let me just get this here, hang on, because you are a clever man.
Sure.
And you studied Eastern Asian religion.
All day.
Does that play a part in your thought process, or has that helped you with things like meditation, or does it just open up?
No, that's what got me sort of thinking of the notion. So I have a minor in Eastern Asian religions from Middlebury College. And what that means is that I have read a lot of books about Buddhism and primary sources. And I have written a lot of papers about Buddhism and the practice and the people. And I do well. I'm a good student. Like I graduated honor roll and dean's list, and like I do well with school. And even when I'm doing poorly in school, and I do what I can to just get a passing grade and move along, like I'm that good of a student. So I have this canonical knowledge of Buddhism in my head solely because I enjoyed it, and all of the people in the classes were cool, and they were my friends. So I have an untold amount, an unexpectedly large amount of information about Buddhism in my brain. And when I moved to Los Angeles to pursue the career, a fellow actor, she and I are old friends, old friends. And I noticed that she would regularly go into a little space in her house, and like regularly, like clockwork. And eventually, we're friends. Like I'm sleeping on her couch, so I start joshing her. I'm like, "Girl, you going in your prayer hut? Girl, it's time to go into the prayer hut, huh?" And she walks over to me and like stares at me deep in my soul. And again, like we're friends from high school. We performed on large stages together and brought the house down. So like we've had high highs and low lows. We fight, we joy. We have the most potent relationship. She like walks over to me and like stares into my soul, and she goes, "Damian, if you do not have some sort of spiritual practice out here in Los Angeles, you will lose your mind." And then she went into a prayer hut, a prayer club. This was the first year we moved to LA, and things were just rough, and I was burning through cash, and I hadn't booked my stuff yet, and I was running around town. I was tired of, right? It's just my wife and I, we were fighting a lot, and it just a lot was going on. And one day I thought, I think I'm losing my mind. And I just heard my friend repeat that back at me. It's like, okay, well, maybe I need to figure out some spiritual practice. And there's like, it costs like $1,200 to go to the Transcendental Meditation Center and like learn how to meditate. But I'm like, I have a minor in Eastern Asian religions from Middlebury College. So if I can't figure out how to meditate, if I can't figure out some resources on how to make this happen for myself, then how much is that fancy degree really worth? Then I just started digging and digging, and one thing led to another, and I found one resource, and that one resource got me sitting for 5 minutes and 10 minutes and a half hour, and eventually I just sort of get to this place where, like clockwork, I meditate 3 times in the day. And if it's not 3, it's certainly 2. And one right when I get up, and then I aim for one around lunchtime. So like even right around now. And then one before dinner time, by dinner time. And giving my body, I do it for a half hour. So that's an hour and a half throughout the day where my body is not in fight or flight. It's in rest and digest. My body, it's not asleep. I'm not sleeping, but I'm resting. And giving myself that has been some of the best medicine and some of the best. No doctor is going to give that to you. And there's the amount of wellness that I get out of that. It can't be given to me. That's not in a pill. That's not packageable for consumption. That's something that I'm giving to myself. And it always gives me, it always fills me up. And whether or not it gives me everything that I need in that right now moment, that's unimportant. But I have never regretted meditating, ever.
No.
Ever. For 5 minutes, for an hour. Like a lot of the resistance is like, oh well, I could do so much other stuff, and I'm just sitting there fidgeting and like I want to do other stuff. I have never regretted it once I was finished.
I'm going to badly misquote something, and I've dabbled. I'm dabbled in the meditation space, and I've not cracked it yet. I've not got into a discipline, which you clearly have. But I was listening to guys across here, the TV kind of comedians and things, but they had done a podcast called "I Can't Believe It's Not Buddha." Anyway, one of the things that I heard on that podcast was that if you can't afford to meditate for 5 minutes, you should meditate for an hour.
Basically,
you're describing that time and the worth and the value that it creates has so much longer impact than the time that you've taken to meditate. So yeah, I'm going to take that away and do something with it, I think, man.
20,000%. Even if 20,000%, I agree with that. And there's truth in that, and like truth with a capital T, like that immutable. It's not true. It's not true. It's truth.
Oh yeah.
Whether you embody that truth, that's something different. But I have never regretted it personally. And it's 10 minutes, bro, even to start out. Like one sees what other folk are doing and be like, dang, I can't do that, or there's no way, or like whatever. So it's like, well, what can you do? And if it's not 10 minutes, then fine, 2 minutes. Bro, if you cannot sit in a room with yourself for 2 minutes, how do you think everyone else around you feels about being in a room with you? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you can't even be with yourself for 3 minutes?
Yeah.
What are the people around you have of their experience of you?
Yeah.
If you can't even sit with yourself for 5 minutes.
That's brilliant.
Once I sort of, it's not even once, like I was already well in the habit, and then speaking to people, like that sort of thing came out of my mouth. And it was like, whoa, I guess that's actually true. Huh. Oh, okay, I guess that's profound. Huh.
Yeah.
But really, man, like just sitting down with your eyes closed. And if you cannot do that for 3 minutes, imagine how your friends feel. Imagine how your wife feels. Like, you understand? Which will make you want to sit even more.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's brilliant. I'm going to have to listen back to this and just. I'm just conscious of time.
Yeah, we could talk forever, bro. So like, if you want to do a series of these, or a bunch of like, I'm here for you, my man. Whenever.
Honestly, yeah, definitely. I think this is part 1 of whatever.
Yeah.
I think what a couple of questions just to finish. Well, one question and then maybe one request. You've just recently moved to España. You're in the hot climates of Madrid. And I believe the weather just now is pretty toasty.
Yeah, it's warm. It has cooled off lately, thank goodness. But
So how has that been for you? How's it been moving from the US to Europe?
the food's different, which is wonderful. That's step one.
In a good way?
Oh, in a good way. It's fine. I think in this side of the world, regardless of what you eat, it's still the thing that they grew. Like, you understand what I'm saying? There's not as much. There's not as much GMO. There's not as much pesticides. There's not as many sort of alteration of the food. And making food products. Like the States is born and raised on food products. The rest of the world seems to be living on food.
No, UK is not too far behind the States, to be honest, man. If you come
the UK made the States.
Well, yeah, the supermarkets here. You walk into a supermarket, be, I don't know, 50 square foot of fruit and veg, and then 1,000 square foot of shit.
Food products. Your body does not need food products, bro. It needs
anyway. Food. But the move across has been okay so far.
Absolutely, just a different set of food, different set of vibes. I have to learn Spanish, so part of the reason why I'm able to make this move so smoothly is because my wife is a French citizen, and so through marriage, and through multiple sclerosis, which is essentially the French have a deal where if you are married to a French and you can pass the language test, you too are a French. I speak well, but I would either just pass or just fail a language exam.
Yeah.
So I'm charming. I can get my point across. I can tell you what I would like to say.
Yeah.
But I'm not. I would barely pass or barely fail that license that exam. But if the French have a deal, if you have a medical thing, if something is off, and you are married to the French, you don't have to take the exam, but you do have to pass an interview, a 90-minute interview.
Wow.
And so, like I say, I would barely pass or barely fail the exam, but I could talk to people, Black.
Yeah, you got it.
I went to the consulate and spoke to dude. We had a whole hour-and-a-half session, and then at the end of that session, I was French. So that was another way for, like, when we moved, we flew out of the States on our U.S. passport, but we landed on our French passport. So using that, like, the dude didn't even stamp it. He was just like, welcome home. All right, I'll see you later. So, like, there's no pressure on me trying to get out and like all of these things. So that was really the reason why we moved, because it was like, yeah, I can keep hustling here in the States, but she's from not here. So let's go live where she's from and follow her dreams, figure that out. Let's see. And so we are 50 some odd days into let's see. As a matter of fact, I'm a precise dude. So I want to be precise about it. We are 59 days away from being on an airplane out here. 59 days ago, I was on my plane with 10 suitcases of all of the stuff that I have to my name in them, and just flying, and just we'll see what's next. We'll see.
Brilliant. With the spirit of adventure. And you've got your lovely dog Cooper with you as well.
That's my guy, whom I also only have because of MS. So there's silver linings, or like what, I don't even know you would call it, but MS multiple sclerosis has taken so much from me. And I work whenever I can, however I can, to get something from it, to take something back from it. So that's why I took that exam at the consulate. when I was looking for a dog, because I lived through my mom's cats. I lived through two of my wife's cats. Like I just eventually I was like, hey, she was looking to get another animal. I was like, look, I'm not having an animal in my house right now. I'm reserving my right to not have an animal right now. And she really couldn't back down on that. Like she just was like, you know what? Fine, cool. And somewhere, I was, doing the YouTube thing and just making videos. Like I'm the MS guy, but I'm still in Hollywood. And one of my Hollywood friends, like me and her, cool, we got a bond. We were at some event, and she showed up with this beautiful dog, and I was like, I want that. And when I went to the place, the lady was like, my dogs are special. I don't give my dogs to first time dog owners. You've never had a dog before. So I'm not going to give you my dog. But you have MS. You need this. And 2 months later, I had Cooper. And that was 5 years ago. And that's my guy. That's my companion.
That's a superb story. I didn't know that. But I didn't know that. You maybe shared that.
That's what I told you, Black.
Yeah, and he has a beautiful dog, so I'm going to share links to your YouTube videos, and you've got Cooper in a few of them. So he's a stunning looking dog. Right, man. I think you've got meditation to do. So I've got a question for you. It's not a particularly, but it might be a difficult one. I know you love your music. You do your rap videos and stuff. Before I asked you, I wrote down a line from one of them, which I thought was pretty cool. We're all just dung beetles pushing our big ball of crap.
Having MS is whack. Ain't complaints, just facts. Reminding me that we're all just dung beetles pushing our big ball of crap.
That was funny. I love that. It's a good little video. However, along with doing these interviews with people and spending time talking about, I think we're talking about more than MS, which is cool because I want to talk about just life. Sure. I want to gather a playlist. I want to get tunes from folk, which either represent them, who they are, or their MS or their journey or what have you. Is there anything that comes to mind?
Yep. I'm gonna look it up right now.
Okay.
Yep. The Reflex revision, like the remix, of Donny Hathaway's "Someday We'll All Be Free." I'm going to put this into the chat right now, big fella.
Yeah.
Wherever that is. Here we go.
You got it?
Boom. That song. I listened to that song this morning. It's powerful. It's powerful because it has some grand presence to it. It's a singer that was here for some time and then gone way too soon. And one of the lyrics is hang on to the world as it spins around. Just don't let the spin get you down. Things are moving fast. But hold on tight and you will last.
Oh, sorry, man.
No, come on. My emotions are right here, bro. It's not, no, that's good. That means I'm comfortable and having a good time, and I'm safe with you. You understand what I'm saying? So,
thank you.
I was listening to that song this morning. Actually, I played it pretty loudly, and again, this is the remix of it. So it has a little bit more to it than it normally did back in its day when it was.
Well, I'm going to
that version of that song. You could put that on your playlist and say I put it there.
Oh, you bet. I'm going to get that now, and I am going to
turn it up, bro. Turn it up.
I'll be playing that when I'm somewhere in the Highlands over the weekend.
Oh yeah, That's running music, bro.
Yeah,
That's
man.
running music.
Someday.
That is how long is this song? This is 7 minutes and 50 seconds. And it doesn't it feels kind of short, like, but it feels like it's a good length, but it's almost 10 minutes. So songs are like 3 minutes and 40 something seconds, and that's a long song. Like a short song, like back in the days, is like 2 minutes, 2 minutes and 20 seconds. This is the almost 8 minute song, and each moment of it is delicious. Yeah, no, that's yours. That's something for later. Like when we're done with this, you like turn that on, you turn that up,
Well, I'm going to
and
find.
just let that roll, bro.
That's superb, Damian. Honestly, I could talk forever. I think I know you've referred to Richard Pryor, and I think you've seen his interview he did with her. I think it was an Australian interview. He did, and he was asked about what MS meant to him, and I'm sure he says something like it was a blessing.
It's a gift.
A gift. A gift. You, my friend, are a gift.
Thank you, man.
Honestly, you for 7 years nearly now, you've indirectly, maybe directly, been a part of my world, and I thank you for that.
Well, you're a source of joy in mine, my man, and I'm grateful for whenever we can align. Like that pretty much kind of rhymes. It's not in meter, but like, yeah, you're a source of joy in mine, and I'm grateful for when we can align.
Yeah,
like that's real, bro.
Yeah, that's a new line for a new rap song.
Yeah, right. That's easy. That's why I make these rap songs, Black, because rhymes come out of this, son. But no, it's really to put a pin on this, like MS is like life just left a gigantic bag of poop. Use another word if you like.
You've also
it left a gigantic bag of poop at your doorstep. However, the relationships, the world that gets to grow out of that, if you use it as fertilizer, the things, the flowers, the people, the relationships that grow out of it are some of the most vibrant, special, resonant relationships that you can have. That you can. I'll figure out a more clean way to say this metaphor, but honestly, man, the people that I meet because of this stuff, I could not imagine life without them. But not even but I could not imagine life without them, and life with them is so much better. And I sincerely wished and hoped that we don't know each other in this context. But if this is the only context in which we can know each other, then I'm glad to know these folk, and you're in that crowd, and you've been in that crowd, and like, what's up, Black? All right, we doing this? Yeah, let's go.
No, I love that. I love that. Thank you. And you've also phrased it in a different way before about how it's a party you didn't want to be invited to, but the people you meet at that party, that's the reason you're there, So
see, I forget the things I say because I'm just a present moment person. So
I tell folk it's true. It's true.
No,
it's
true. You don't want
to wake up and MS says I'm going to say it's shit. It is shit.
It's shit, bro. It's you got universe, whatever you left a giant bag of shit on your doorstep, bro. And it's up to you to use it as fertilizer. To tend your garden, to make your home more beautiful. And I'm telling you, these flowers would not have been as vibrant and dynamic and just special without that fertilizer. It wouldn't be. It wouldn't be. I'm convinced of that.
Superb. No, I agree. I agree. There's nothing more to add to that. I think that's as good a place as any to say that's a wrap.
I appreciate you and your energy, man, and your vibe. So it's like I say, I'm just happy to be around that vibe. So holler at your boy anytime.
Honestly, I will do. Thank you very much for your time. I know you've got stuff on. Just before I say goodbye, I'm going to take my hat off to you, sir. Thank you.
Hey, wow, man. Y'all, he had a hat there. He put it on.
Oh, I got many hats. I'll wear a different one next time.
Wow, man, you keep having the metaphors to go on with it, man. Listen.
Oh, that was the hat on. I do have many hats.
You can come on, man. You got many. Listen, he put the hat on and then he took it off in my honor. Like that, yo, my man, I'm gonna go get lunch. That is gonna be some wind in my sails through my lunch. I'm gonna have to tell my wife and my sister-in-law about this. That was significant. That was significant, Barnaby. I appreciate you, man. My pleasure, man. And thank you. And thank you for everyone who's listening and who showed up in the space. Thank you for sharing your time with us. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Damian.
I'll see you when I see you, my man.
Namaste. Was it Yamaste? Namaste.
Namaste. Namaste, which means the God in me recognizes the God in you.
Wow, I did not know that. Thank you.
The God in me recognizes the God in you, Black. I'll see you when I see you, big fella.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You take care.
See you, man. Take care. Peace.
Bye.